What would the United States look like today had it never purchased the Louisiana Territory from France? Imagine a much smaller nation, shaped by a different set of geographical boundaries, altered diplomatic relations, and a transformed trajectory of westward expansion. How many stars would adorn the flag today? How would this have affected the global influence that the United States developed? Let's embark on this intellectual journey and dissect the potential consequences of a United States without the Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase, a watershed moment in American history, unfolded in 1803 when the United States, under the leadership of President Thomas Jefferson, negotiated the acquisition of a vast territory from France. This monumental transaction more than doubled the size of the young nation, marking a strategic and transformative move that reverberated through the years. The acquired territory encompassed a staggering 828,000 square miles, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains and from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border. This vast expanse included the fertile lands along the Mississippi Delta and, possibly most important, the crucial port city of New Orleans. Several factors prompted the United States to pursue the Louisiana Purchase. At the core was the pivotal control of the Mississippi River and the vital port of New Orleans. These waterways served as lifelines for American commerce and westward expansion. Fearful of losing access to these critical trade routes, President Jefferson initiated negotiations with France, aiming to secure New Orleans but ultimately acquiring the entire Louisiana Territory. The geopolitical landscape also played a significant role. Napoleon Bonaparte, facing the challenges of European conflicts, decided to sell the vast territory to fund his military campaigns. The offer presented an opportunity for the United States to solidify control over the Mississippi River and gain strategic advantages in North America. While it's unlikely that anyone was considering it at the time, this purchase also paved the path to the United States expanding from coast to coast. The first alternative history that should be considered is one in which the United States never acquired the Louisiana Territory at all. In this scenario, the course of westward expansion would have faced considerable challenges and alterations. The acquired territory, spanning from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, provided a vast and fertile landscape for settlers. Without this expansion, the westward movement of the American population would likely have encountered more constrained routes. If these difficulties hadn't been overcome, much of what is now the Midwest and Western states may have never joined the Union. The absence of the Louisiana Purchase might have intensified competition and conflicts over existing territories too, potentially leading to disputes with other European powers, especially Spain, who still held claim to Florida, Mexico, and much of what is now the western United States. The Oregon Trail, California Gold Rush, and other significant migration movements could have followed different paths, altering the demographics and settlement patterns of the western United States. Not only would expansion have been difficult, but the importance of New Orleans cannot be understated. New Orleans, a critical port city at the mouth of the Mississippi River, held immense economic and strategic significance. Control over this key gateway was paramount for American trade, as goods and produce from the vast interior of the continent funneled through New Orleans for international export. Without the Louisiana Purchase securing control over New Orleans, the United States would have faced significant challenges in navigating the Mississippi River and accessing global markets. International trade, economic growth, and the overall development of the American economy would likely have been hampered. Without New Orleans, many of the events that have led to the United States developing into a world leader would simply have not occurred. Many of our import and export abilities would have been crippled. Due to the importance of New Orleans alone, it's highly likely that American forces would have acquired it at some point in some way. Potential scenarios could include increased tensions with European powers vying for control of New Orleans, leading to diplomatic conflicts or even military confrontations. If the purchase hadn't happened in 1803, it may have only been delayed by a few years. Spain gave up control of much of its holdings in the Americas in the early 1800s, mostly due to the cost of maintaining the holdings and due to the Napoleonic Wars that swept Europe. France lost Haiti to an uprising and might have decided that Louisiana was too much to maintain during this period. This easily could have led Napoleon to reconsider the deal with the United States. History may not be altered much in this scenario. If Napoleon kept a firm hold on New Orleans and Louisiana out of pride, foolishness, or for any other reason, it may have resulted in a conflict as many American leaders, Thomas Jefferson at the lead, had a notable expansionist lean. During the European wars that marked the continent during the early 1800s, the United States may have used France's divided attention to take New Orleans by force. Or, like how Texas was approached later, New Orleans and the Louisiana Territory could have been annexed after declaring their independence from France. Both routes could have ended in a war against France and Napoleon. This not only could have had implications for the histories of the United States expansion, but how would Napoleon manage to continue his war in Europe had he switched his attention to the Americas? Much of the history of France and of Europe could have been rewritten had Louisiana not been sold when it was. Had the Louisiana Purchase not occurred, it also could have dramatic effects on the balance of power in the United States, especially surrounding the growing divide in slave versus free states. The Louisiana Purchase added vast territories, raising questions about the extension of slavery. Without this expansion, the political struggles over the admission of new states could have taken a different course, potentially influencing the delicate balance between slave and free states. The focus of political priorities and policies might have shifted as well. The acquisition of the Louisiana Territory brought new challenges and opportunities, influencing policies related to westward expansion, infrastructure development, and diplomatic relations. Without these considerations, the political agenda of the early 19th century might have been shaped by different issues. The Louisiana Purchase was such a significant event in the history of the United States. It was a catalyst for westward expansion and a guardian of the crucial port of New Orleans, shaped the course of American history in ways both tangible and profound. The alternate realities we've envisioned, both with and without this historic acquisition, prompt us to consider a landscape where cultural identities, political dynamics, and international relations could have unfolded along a different trajectory. What are your thoughts on this alternate history? How do you think the absence of the Louisiana Purchase would have shaped the course of American development? Share your perspectives in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the realms of speculation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more intriguing explorations into the what-if scenarios of history.